Hello everyone, my name is Renju Bosco. I'm a 3D artist. This tutorial is more of a workflow than a tutorial. It's about topology transfer. So you can see there is a base mesh and there's a scan. What we are going to do is transfer this mesh, the base mesh, or confirm the base mesh onto the scan. Now there are dedicated softwares out there to do the same thing like Wrap 3D. Wrap 3D is a standalone software which does it quite well. And it's quite expensive. Sometimes this kind of software might not be available in a studio, or the number of licenses might be limited, very limited. So we have to find an alternative method. You can do this manually, like position it, match with the sculpt tools, or we can use Maya modeling toolkit to project and relax project the mesh onto the live scan, or just pull vertex with soft selection and try to match the scan. You can even use sculpt tools or make this live, make the high mesh live, and then try to match it, like this. So you can see, probably I will give a color or color code it to see it properly. So let me assign a new material quickly. I will just speed up here. So now you can see with live option on, it is confirming to the scan. So there are a few ways to do this manually, but yes, it's slightly time consuming. First things first, let me name this geometry. So okay, and one thing is the base mesh is from Scan Store. You can get this free from there, and this scan is also from freely available to download. Anyway, I will just, this will be our target high scan maybe, and this is our base geo 0. Okay, I'll just center pivot this. I'll try to match as much as possible, especially the eye area. Okay, you can see how much difference it is. Okay, I think this is good enough for now. I'll just freeze transform this so that the values are on 0 or 1 for scale. Okay, so base geo, now base geo and target high scan. I will put in a layer. Okay, good. So now let's do the first step. In here I will isolate the base geo, and in here I will isolate the scan. So you see. Alright, so now we are good to go. So first thing what I'm going to do is I will just make this geo live and place joints. So we can go to rigging, skeleton, create joint, and I'm going to place joints at landmarks. So basically one here. Good. Now press Y again, then keep on doing the same, placing joints on the main landmarks. Y again, Y. So you can keep on doing this. Y is shortcut for last used tool. That's why I'm saying Y. The landmarks, we will just place this. You can also press this one so that you can see the joints properly. I believe it's called X-ray joints. Okay, so you can do these landmarks. Let's put one here, right here. I'm going to speed up this process. This is kind of similar to placing selection points in Wrap 3D, if you have ever used that. Okay, all good. I guess this is good enough for now. Now what I'm going to do next is select all these joints, so I can see all these joints and group them. Let's call it these joints. Okay, now I will select all these and put a keyframe at frame 1. Now on the second frame, we'll focus here. We'll match these joints to their corresponding position in the scan. So let's make this live, the scan. Right now the scan is live, so we will match it. It doesn't need to be super precise. You just have to match it as much as possible. It's quite slow in the viewport. If the scan is decimated, the interaction will be much faster. Right now it's very slow because I haven't done that. So I will speed up this part. So I guess everything is matched now. You can turn around and see it's not at all matching. I guess it's all matching now. Yeah, cool. So that looks nice. Now one thing to do without forgetting is selecting all these joints again. That is my okay. So select all these joints again and put a keyframe. So don't forget to put a keyframe at frame 1 and doing this again after matching the scan in frame 2. So yes, again. So right now you can see if I move to 1 and 2, see? Okay, now that's good. Now what we are going to do is select all these joints. Okay, go to first frame, select the joints, select the geo and bind skin. Alright. Now if we move the keyframe, you can see, yes, it looks very weird, but we have got an overall shape. That's a good thing. Now if you want to add additional joints to match it better, you can do that. So I will just hide it. So it looks weird, but that's okay. That's totally fine. Move on from here. So basically what I will do is I will just duplicate this geo again. Now we will work on the duplicate geo. We will keep this old geometry with the history intact in case we have to go back. I'll just put in a layer. Just hide that. And this is the new base geo that we have. So let's say A, or yeah, A. I will make another duplicate of base geo A. Let's call it base geo input. Now I will show you why I named that input. So now if you see, we have a scan and 2 modified base geo. Now select both these. Go to our node editor. Inside node editor, you can see there is O-rig, which we can just delete it. Not required. We have the base geo input shape and base geo shape. Now I am going to control base geo shape, base geo A shape with the base geo input shape. So for that, what we have to do is take the out mesh and connect it to int mesh. So it's very simple. Duplicate output out mesh of the duplicate geo into the in mesh of the geo that we want to modify. That's pretty straightforward. Now select this, and if you check, you can modify here. It reflects here. So that's exactly what we want. Now what we are going to do is we are going to assign few modifiers or deformers in this case to this geo. So First, I will select this geo and then the scan. I will assign a shrink wrap. Okay, so don't have to change any settings. Default settings is fine. So give us shrink wrap. I didn't save it. I should have done that. My bad. So you can see it conformed to the mesh, and by default it's giving a decent result. Not bad, but there are a lot of things going on. The area outside the scan, so wrap envelope back to 0. You can see the area outside the scan is also, projected onto the scan, which is not good. We don't want that. And there are other problems like the inner eye, the inner part, which is also projected back. So it's giving some undesired result, the result which we don't want. So what we can do is we can just go back a step. We just remove the deformer here. I will reproject the base geo onto the scan again, but this time around we will not select the entire object. Instead, we will select the vertex that we need. So I will just quickly make a selection. Basically, we don't want the inside eye and the extra vertex over here, and maybe the inside mouth. Okay, so it's a good idea to look in the UV editor for making the selection. Okay, we'll make a selection set for this in case we want to go back in future. Sets, click selection set, face selection, give a name just in case. Okay, so maybe I will just convert it to vertex and then reproject again onto the scan. Deform, again shrink wrap, closest, create. Okay. Now let's take a look at the shrink wrap settings. We need to set closest in projection method and enable shape preservation under shape preservation controls. And reprojection, we can set it to reprojection per step. And we can also adjust iterations per step and steps to get much smoother result. We can play around with these values to get a decent result. Okay, so let's try adjusting the input geo, and it should. I will just quickly, on the problem areas, I will just tweak the input geo mesh. You don't have to be super precise on selection. It should work. You can see by default when you are moving it, it's automatically grabbing onto the scan. See? So that was quite neat. In the eyes also we can do the same. So you can either use the sculpt tools or you can manually do it. So if you adjust the input mesh, the base geo or the target geo will automatically get conformed to the scan mesh. Yeah. Now this is just with the shrink wrap. One more thing to add is a delta mesh deformer on top of this. So you get a much more smoother result. Now for delta mesh to work, first you have to take the envelope to 0, and then on top you can assign a shrink wrap, a delta mesh deformer. The default values are fine for now. Now if you select, you can see there are 2 deformers, 1 shrink wrap, and on top there is delta mesh. Let me take the envelope value back to 1. Okay, so now you can get a much more smoother result, but we have lost the shape. This is without delta mesh and this is with delta mesh. So obviously we are losing a lot of shape. So in order to fix that, just reduce the iteration values to maybe like 3 or something, which will retain our shape. Okay. Maybe we can play with 5, try 5, maybe 1. Yeah. This is okay, I guess. Now we can start tweaking again. This time around it works like a soft wrap. It wraps around the scan surface in a better way. Okay, so you are getting a better result when you have a delta mesh on top. So in this way, so if you check the shrink wrap settings, we have given the reprojection to be per step. So whatever we are doing here, it reprojects every time. So whenever you are moving this vertex, it's basically reprojecting it in the base mesh onto the scan. So that's how you are getting a good result. So we can move to match better to the scan. So I'm not going to go through all these. I will just fix this here and then we'll move on from here to the next step. You can maybe compare with the scan. So you can see how much it's matching. You can tweak more to get better result. So I think I will just stop in here, the matching wise. Now we will go on to the cleanup. For the cleanup, it's quite simple. We will use the unmodified base geo and then use the new modified geo as a blend shape. So basically you select and assign a blend shape deformer, and what we will do is we will just paint the weights where we want to retain the new modified parts. You can just paint blend shape base weights. Initially we can flood with a value of 0 and then Just select the vertex where we want to modify. It's better to select from UVs. We'll change the weights here to 1, handle 1, and then flood. So this mouth part we will have to push it inside. I will speed up this part. It's quite straightforward. It's just about painting bend shape weights and then cleaning up manually. So I have spent a few more minutes just to clean it up. So this is the final result. I hope this tutorial is helpful. If you have doubts, do comment and I will try to clear those.